Hello and welcome to our Saturday stream. This is Fantasy Grounds Map and Image Creation, and I'm Josh. So thank you all so much for joining me here today. We're going to be going through the new art packs that have just been released, the Victorian ones. I thought it'd be a good time to kind of dive into that. We can create, we'll make as much as we can today. We should be able to have a full stream today. I'm so looking forward to it. We'll be making one of these kind of environments. We'll probably be doing like one floor of a rather large structure, several different rooms and whatnot, and we can kind of get into doing all of those sorts of things. It'll be super fun. I hope everyone's having a great week. And again, I just want to say thanks everyone for joining me here today. If you guys have any sort of questions or if there's something that you need further explanation on, please let me know. I do use a lot of like shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. So if I do something, I try to stay on top of it and let everyone know kind of what's going on. But if I happen to not, please let me know and I'll explain everything to do. Here is like a really basic kind of image of some of the new images that are in the art packs. There's two of them. They both are for creating interiors. I think there's about 100 images or just shy of 100 images in each one. And they covered kind of different aspects. So this has kind of got that feel of like the Victorian era aesthetic with the furniture pieces, the decor, and so on. This is going to be great for like a Call of Cthulhu game or anything that's going to happen in that particular era. Which the Victorian era is just before the Edwardian era, right? Like it's like the late 1800s, very early 1900s. I think 1905 is when Edwardian starts. I could be wrong though. So let's jump right into this here. I'm going to close this down. And we're going to open up our assets here. Move over to the Victorian one. We'll go into the first art pack first. So we have a whole bunch of new brushes for walls and a nice banister brush. Oh, hello guys. Oh yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, just send me an email. We'll work out all the details. So here we'll jump right into using some of this stuff. What I like to do first is kind of yeah, no problem. I would love to do that. Yeah, and we can start off with our floor plan here. So basically, what we're going to do is we're kind of plan out. There's only one floor in these art packs because there are so many of them in the other interior art packs. I try to, even though a lot of images do get duplicated quite often, we try to make our art packs to have some sort of uniqueness to them. That being said, there does get to be a lot of like replicated kind of images. You'll notice that there's probably a ton of different barrels and crates and whatnot throughout all the different art packs. They'll always be in a different style and a different kind of era and so on. So the art pack should be able to completely create an environment unto itself and just add into the whole art packages as a conglomerate. So what I'm actually going to do, let's open up our images over here, and I'm just going to right click and I'm going to create a new. And now we can close this down. I'm going to jump over here. I'm just going to change this to 100 by 100. And you can see we just have a kind of a blank space out through here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a painting layer, and this is going to kind of initiate all of this stuff now that we have a layer that's. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower down the opacity, my grid system here. I want to be able to see it, but I don't want it to be too overpowering. We can kind of like jump in and line things up and do all of that kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we can kind of interact with this system, depending on how we want to do it. We can just drag this out if we wanted to. And then if we switched over to our layers tab, We could do several different ones and kind of do this out this way. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be painting this into the painting layer itself here. I'm going to switch over to the stamp tool. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to drop it right into the brush here. And what that's going to do, you can see here, I'm going to be able to stamp this right out into the area here, and I can kind of just line this up and go along here. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And if I hold down Control, what this is going to do is it's going to snap to the grid. And this is going to allow me to put this right into the grid system. And this is one of the reasons why we want to be able to see the grid, and we can kind of use this to help line up all of these different elements. Now this is a seamless texture, as you can see. It lines right up as we move along here. We're going to be using some other floor elements as well. So why don't we just start off with like a single room. And the way that we can kind of do this is we can kind of do this free form. I'm not going to plan out the entire structure. And you guys, if you want to see something, or if you have some sort of idea about what we should add and so on and so forth, let me know. We can kind of build this together as we progress here. One of the things that we want to do is we want to keep our layers very separate in the hierarchy of the distance from the viewer. So we are the viewer, right? Looking down on this environment. The thing that's going to be the furthest away from us always is going to be the floor, right? So we're going to rename this floor. And this way we can always have this in a particular layer so that everything around here can kind of interact above this, right? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another painting layer. We're going to call this walls. And this is where we can paint out all of our different walls. Now by keeping these separate, we can interact with them in a completely undestructive manner, right? Like as we add to this, we don't have to worry about how these two kind of overlap each other. This way we can erase parts of the walls. We don't have to worry about erasing parts of the floor, and so on and so forth. So we'll just create like a nice little room here. Oh yeah, we can make this a candlelit library. That sounds cool. Let's definitely do that. And we can put in some like reading areas and maybe a fireplace and do that. And then we can build out from here. Oh yes, so there is a little bit of a bug, and so the comment here is you still have a trouble with walls and the continuity. I'm going to show you how to kind of interact with that. So what we can actually do, let's jump in and we'll do these walls right now before we go any further. So I'm going to go into my brushes, and here we have a whole bunch of different types of walls. If we click on this, you can kind of see, and there is a little bit of a. So let me just demonstrate a couple of things, and this is all going to get worked out. But here's like a classic kind of wall that we have here, and we can see that this is the width is 1. The image and the size of the surrounding transparency is actually 1 square wide, and this is how the system kind of works, right? This is going to be 1 square. So whatever I set this width and well, the diameter of my actual grid itself is how we use the entire system here. So the system is based completely off of the grid. So you can kind of use that to your advantage in many different ways. But what I'm actually going to do is I'll show you here. Let's use a rectangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag out a rectangle here for my wall. And now if I go into my eraser, you're going to see that this is probably going to break this little corner up here, as it does. And that's from the erasing. There's a little bit of a bug that happens there. So to get around that, and this is a really easy way to kind of do that. So let's, I'm just going to hit Control Z, and we'll do it one more time to get rid of all of that stuff. Yeah, this is the newest releases from us, this Victorian Art Pack. So we're going to be using both of them today. So instead of using the rectangle, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to plan this out. So let's say I'm going to keep my doorway over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to be holding down Control. So I can actually click to the the grid itself. And this is going to keep everything nice and lined up for me. And then I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to keep this 2 squares wide, the entrance here. And then I'm just going to hit escape. And now we can have this nice, perfect kind of unit here goes around. So we'll have this one entrance here. We could still kind of do this thing down here. And if we erase down here, as you can see, it's no longer going to do that little break. We've counteracted that measure. It only seems to happen with the rectangle. And that's just a minor bug that we have currently. We'll get that sorted. And I can come in here rather precisely if I wish. And if I ever do anything that I don't want, I can just hit Control Z and it'll bring that right back. There, and now we have 2 entrances that we have created very easily in this little wall created brushwork here. Perfect. So now we have our basis of our entire environment. And this is going to be able to create, because we're using the painting system, it'll automatically be able to generate all of our line of sight for us in this particular element. So we don't have to worry about that from here on out, right? This is going to work all of our wall work, and we're going to keep it all in this one layer, and then we'll generate it all at the end. So if we do any sort of joins and whatnot, and wherever we match things up, we can kind of interact with that. That's a good question, Fury Fate. So the question is, how many undo actions are logged? And you know what? I'm not exactly sure. But I can find that out for you for next time. I know that Carl has recently just done a rework of the entire undo functions, and so that it works across many different scenarios. So, but I'll find out what is the actual length, how many actions you could possibly go back to. Okay. So now we have these 2 separate layers here. What we're going to do is we're going to create a 3rd painting layer. And we're just going to call this decor, right? And we're going to drop this in between. And this is where we're going to be placing all of our items. And we'll be able to do stuff on top as well. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure it's quite a few actions that you can kind of undo to. And I'm sure with a little bit of testing, you can kind of find the limits. But I'll get the final word. And we're going to be able to put in here all kinds of different elements, right? And we're probably going to do a couple, right? We're going to do one for like rugs and whatnot on the floor level. But one of the advantages of having this layer system on the side here is that we can reorganize these things. We can add in new ones and place them in between as we wish. But from here on out, we can pretty much do this with like 3 or 4 different layers, and then we'll be using some other layers to do shadows, so on and so forth. And we can add in even additional layers for our effects. But now let's go into the meat of this, which is the decorations. And we have all kinds of cool different decorations. And we can start to add in all of the different bookshelves and so on, so forth. And one of the really cool things that we can kind of do is interact with the system even after the fact, right? So, for example, we could come in, and if I wanted to switch back to my Layers tab, and here we have our walls that are all set up here, or our floor. Let's go to our floor. This will be here for me to line back up after the fact. But if I wanted to move this, for example, I can kind of move this. This becomes one entity in the system, and then I can put it right back to where. So I could actually come back in and change and move things around even after I painted it. But it should be noted that everything that is painted on a particular layer acts as one unit. If I were to add in other floor elements on this layer, they would all move together. So now we can come back, and we're going to switch back over to our stamp tool. With our stamp tool selected, we can probably start off with, let's just type in book. And here we have some books here, but I think it might be in the other one. So let's jump up to the second one here. So here we have some nice bookshelves, and some of them actually have stuff on them, and there are ones at particular angles and whatnot. So we can kind of create this in any way that we see fit, right? We can kind of place these around. If we wanted to do some that were knocked over, we could do that. Some leaning up against the wall, we can do that. So there's lots of different ways that we can kind of interact with this. I'm going to use something that's got a little bit of an angle to it, I think something like this. And I'm just going to drag and drop this over, and you can see that that loads that image up right onto my cursor over here, my pointer. And now what I'm able to do is kind of paint this around. And I can rotate this with these buttons. Maybe what we'll do is add these right up against the wall. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn off the aspect lock ratio, and I'm going to make this a little bit more narrow, because I'm actually going to be placing this kind of along the wall, underneath the wall here. And so again, I can hold down Control if I want, and I can snap that right into the grid so that I can kind of add in here something along these lines. I'm just using a mouse. Everything that I do on stream, I just use my mouse. But you can, I do actually sometimes do it with my graphic screen when I'm doing stuff on my own. And I think what we'll do is let's switch this up a little bit. We can change some of these around, add in some different elements here. And this one again, I'm going to make this 1.5 so it's a little bit narrower. And I'm just going to hold down Control and snap these into place. Now we can, and this is one of the really cool things about this system, that if I decide that I want these to be a little bit more exposed, I can just bring these up, and these now are sitting up beyond the wall, right? If we want to kind of have that feeling that a little bit more height to it, we're able to do that. But for now, I'm going to keep it down in underneath. We can just have a little bit more of a concise situation here. We're all a little bit more of an organized. I think that'll be enough. We'll have some books and whatnot, and we can actually put some books along the top of some of these. We'll do some tables with some books on it, and so on and so forth. And we can add in a whole bunch of different elements. And this is where things start to get really fun, right? Like we can go into our decorations and kind of see tons of different types of furniture and whatnot that we can kind of grab and add in as well. And so maybe we'll take something like this. And we'll do like a nice little, maybe we'll do like a desk in here. We'll maybe make this like a study. Yeah, we'll definitely do some sitting chairs and rugs. Absolutely. What we're actually going to do is we'll create another layer and we'll put that in underneath. So let's move this out maybe to something like this. And I'm thinking that what we can do is put some mirrors on the wall if we so wish. All kinds of different elements. Paintings. And maybe like a nice round table, I think. Over here. Maybe we'll do it in this corner, and we'll put like a fireplace. Yes, we'll do like a candelabra, and then we can have. Should we do? We'll make this place rather nice here. What I think I'm gonna do is kind of just open this up. You can kind of go to these back and forth. I'm gonna do one of these round rugs and whatnot. So let's create a new painting layer. Drop this down in underneath our decor there. Maybe we'll put this kind of coming out from underneath. And maybe we'll make this a little bit bigger too, right? Like, then we'll do like a rug. And let's grab maybe, oh, let's, we might want to do even a small couch or something. We'll see. We'll see how much room we have, and we'll start to decorate all of these things and do lots of fun. And I'll grab, and we can mix and match with all the different kind of elements. I'm actually going to make this a bit smaller. Not quite that small. So like something like this. Maybe even like 4. Yes. We'll put it on this wall. And I'm going to put it into the 4 area here. And I'm going to hold down Control and just kind of line this up with the system here. So you know what? Let's grab this one. See a little bit more of the inner workings. We'll put it back in though a little bit further from the in something. And now we have pretty much basic layout of all the different kind of elements that we want to do here. And now I'm going to kind of mix and match between some of these other art packs, find everything that we might need, but we'll be using primarily the Victorian. We have a telephone, and if we so wish, we could even add in another painting layer that we can kind of put on top of this stuff. But I think that this is going to be fine for us, just kind of going back and forth. We'll put a little like phone on the desk here. And let's go up to the other Victorian art package here. Well, we can actually just type in anything we want. Go back. I want to go there. But we can just type in like a candle, for example. We're going to get all the different ones. And here we have some nice candelabras. I think we're going to do the one that's kind of just like straight up and down here. Maybe we'll put something here. And we'll do possibly like some different elements. And what we can actually do is put some papers and books and things on the desk itself. We can add in all kinds of different kind of elements. As you can see, we have several here. Kind of place this around. And if you hover over it, it'll actually tell you what art pack that you're trying to pull this from. So here we have the Modern House 2 pack, and this is from the Interior Map Pack 2. So everything will always kind of tell you what's going on. Maybe we'll put one over here on the top of this. I'm going to type in paper, and you can see we're going to get all the different papers that we have kind of lined up here. Here we have some like newspapers that we could actually, this is from the abandoned art pack, abandoned places. Or we can even type in magazines. These are ones from the new Modern House art pack. So we could place some of these around as well. But I think we were going to grab some of these elements. And I think that there's even some like letters and whatnot that we can really begin to make this feel like it is a lived-in space, right? Like that's the whole and now we can type in like inkwell. And we'll put one of these like over here. Now let's type in book, and now we're going to get all the different books. So we have a whole bunch from our modern and all kinds of different like grimoires, and we even have collections of books that we can, excuse me, quickly grab. And so something like this, and then we can start to pile these on top if we so want to. Oh, so what I did, Fury Fate, is I lowered it down. So you can come into the grid system, and what I did is I lowered it. So you can change this in any way that you wish. You can change its color. You can also change its shape and all of that different stuff. But what I like to do when I'm working here, let's actually make it white again. Is I like to lower it down so that I can just kind of use it while it not really interfering with the whole system here. So yeah, you have total control over all of that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy Grounds Academy. Yeah, I completely agree. And with the popularity of Call of Cthulhu in a lot of different circles, whoop, we want to make sure we're in our stamp tool here. Actually, let's put this on the desk here. That's a good one for the desk. Creating all of these cool little studies and whatnot, I think is absolutely. I think we'll grab a couple of these ones as well. These like large. Maybe I'll set this one over here on the table. We'll cover up a little bit of these magazines. Oh yeah, we could totally recreate the mansion from Clue. That's a great idea actually. So you can see how quickly we can kind of throw all of this stuff together, and we have a little bit of stuff that you can see on these shelves themselves, but it's still completely open to interpretation and all of that stuff. We'll do some glow. Maybe we'll do some other kind of decorative elements in the room itself. So let's type in painting, and now we can grab like some of these paintings, and if we want to, we can even grab some of these ones that are a little bit at an angle, so that you kind of see the front of them a little bit. And most of these, I try to do these depending on what they are, a little bit indiscriminate, like this. But sometimes we also do ones that are have images related to them as well. Now, one of the great things that we can kind of do with this is I'll actually create a new painting layer. We'll put this above so that we can kind of line this up on our wall, something along. And you can see that that's going to give us a little bit of dimension as well. The same thing that we did with these bookcases in here. So mixing and matching these different types of angles and perspectives can really kind of lend to that immersive kind of quality of an actual space, a little bit more of a dimension to it. Oh yeah, actually that's on its way. So the comment was I'd like to see more city map packs and industrial buildings. Yep, I have a 3 or 4 of those coming out soon. Yeah, should be pretty cool. In addition to that, I have a whole bunch of ones for Old West, so you can make like Old West towns and whatnot, and lots of different things. Lots of different things on the way. And maybe we'll grab this one too. And I'm just going to flip it. Then maybe we'll place it over here, like above this. Oh yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I don't have anything like prawnish, but we can certainly maybe grab that. Do something along those lines. I'm actually going to put this coat rack down here in the corner. Well, I don't want to do it on that one. I actually want to go down to my decor. And so if you guys are unfamiliar, what I actually do is I hold down Shift and I can rotate this with my mouse wheel. If I hold down Control, I can change its size with my mouse wheel. I can also change its color with the R, G, and B keys and the mouse wheel, so I can interact with it in a multitude of different ways. So now that we have all of our base kind of elements in here, right, we could always do more decorative kind of things, depending on what you guys thought would be. Oh, let's do a clock in the room as well, right? And this one is from the Modern 2 house pack. Maybe we'll place this up on the mantle. Do this up here. Oh, and maybe what we'll do is, let's see. We could do like a sword on the wall. Or on the mantelpiece over here. Thinking maybe something like this. We'll actually do it down here. We'll kind of fit that in there, something like that. Great. And then we have all of that stuff kind of done. We can start to add in all of the other elements that will kind of bring this to the forefront, right? So before I go too much further, I'm going to call this like, we'll call this decor lower. Just because I'm going to make a new painting layer and I'm going to start to add in all of the different shadow elements that I'm going to paint in. But we're also going to do a lot of the shadow elements with effects layers as well. So I'm just going to grab this little guy right here. And I'm going to hold down R, G, and B. And I'm going to bring that all the way down to black. I'm going to add in a little bit more blue to it though. Then I'm going to hold down A and use my mouse wheel to lower down its opacity. Now I'm going to do this a little bit darker, and then I'm going to go into my layers tab, and then I'm going to adjust that as I see fit. We can do this a couple of different ways. Actually, let's do it. I'll show you that you can kind of interact with this system in a multitude of different ways. So I'm going to leave this completely opaque. I'm going to make sure I have my stamp tool selected, and I'm going to start to paint in some shadows here. I'm actually going to do this underneath my walls because I want to kind of have it coming out like this. Actually, let's do a base layer first. We'll do shadows down here first, kind of coming out from this stuff. And this is going to look really dark at first. And then we're going to adjust the opacity of this on a layer in the Layers tab. And this will just give us a little bit more control on how we want this to kind of feel, right? Maybe I'll do a little bit here. And now as I switch over, I can open up the color picker. And now I can adjust this and find how I want these shadows to kind of interact. Switching back over, I can come into here now, and now I can add in, make sure I go to Stamp Tool, a little bit extra in the little corners and sticking out from underneath these things. Do a little bit more on the chair here. Make it feel like that there's a little bit of shadow that is cast from the actual desk itself. And now I can come back in here, and again, I can just adjust this whatever feels appropriate. And then we're going to do one more painting layer. And let's make sure we do this. And here, what I can actually do is I can do the same kind of thing, but I can do it on a, from my brush perspective, I can lower down that opacity. And again, I can come in here and do further adjustments, making that a little bit more subtle. Now, another way that we can interact with this system, that we can create our own shadows and whatnot, is we can go into our effects layers, and we can create a adjust colors. And we can drop down our brightness, for example. And maybe even like the green and blue will drop down. I mean, the green and red will drop down. And then we can create a mask. From that, we can kind of do something like this. And we can blur out those edges. And then we can adjust this, change the way that this system. And what we can do is we can kind of come in and create shadows anywhere that we want. And we can even come in and do little shadows on all of the different kind of items and things if we want to. And using these two systems in tandem, you can see that they will affect each other. Kind of change this one to be doing that. Back into here. I'm going to lower down my opacity a little bit more, make sure I'm in my create some little shadows off of these items. Now this is not something that you necessarily have to do, but it is, I find it fun. It's fun for me. I think we'll adjust this. We'll make this a little bit, make it a little bit lighter here. Whoa. Yeah, something like this. And now we can actually interact with the system when we add in all of our lighting elements and whatnot. We can do that super easy. Yeah, very cool. Nice little cool environment that we have going on here. So what I'll just to kind of do like a preview here. We're going to be starting to build off of this, and we'll add in our doors, and we'll build out some other areas and so on. Well, you guys can help me decide what rooms go to where and so on and so forth. What we can do is we can go right into our line of sight, and once we have all of our walls kind of laid out here, what we have to do is push this button and it will generate all of that line of sight for us, that painted layer. This is the same kind of system that we're going to use for our lighting. So if we come back in here, we turn on our lighting system, we can go into the lighting areas and we'll use the same layer here, add lights. What we'll do is we'll add, we can kind of go into our presets here. We have candle one. Start to click these in. And then we might want to do one that is, well, maybe we'll just do a torch and then we'll change it. I think what we'll do is we'll create a little bit more of we can also do some kind of ambient lighting. Well, you can see we can kind of put all of this stuff onto one layer here. But I'm going to delete this for right now. And we can kind of go back into the system and turn it off. And that way when we go back in and oh, thanks, Bryce. What we can do is kind of go back into the system later and do it all at once, so that we can generate all of our line of sight on one particular layer. So let's go in, we'll actually go over here and I'm going to type in a door. And this is going to pull up all the different doors and whatnot. Maybe we'll use, I'm going to do this right on the wall layer. Let's see. Let's actually go up into the Victorian Art package. And I'll type in door here. I'm actually going to do this on level here, so I can just kind of like let this kind of come in here. And we can actually kind of build, I can show you guys, we can build like a little door jam. I'll just flip this. And we'll do the same down here. Let's grab a board from somewhere. And I'm going to do this for decor layer here. And I'm actually going to use the eyedropper here. Grab one of these kind of colors. And this is what it's going to do. It's going to change. Let's go with a lighter one, maybe something like that. This is going to change it so that it's kind of adds that color to the existing one. Holding down Control, I can kind of snap this right into place. Very cool. So what do you guys think we should do coming off of here? What should be the next room? Should we do like a hallway, or should we do... You guys have any suggestions? I think what we'll actually do is change up some walls here a little bit. We have some additional ones as well in. We have some that are a little bit at an angle as well. We also have ones for like banisters, and rails, and all kinds of things. Ooh, a bar. Yeah, a bar sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? Maybe like a game room. Maybe we'll do like a game room down here with a bar in it. I'm going to come back up into the wall area here. I'm going to hold down Control. And what I'm actually going to do is, with my line tool selected, I'm going to draw this out coming from this edge here. And we'll make this one about the same size. What do you think? What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. 10. And we'll do something like this. Now I can come in with my eraser. We have this one entrance here. Maybe we'll do another one on this side. Again, I'll make that about same width. Now we can go back into our floor here. Maybe we'll do a different floor. What we can do is we can just type in floor and we're going to get all of the different floors. This might take a minute because there are tons and tons of them. But I'm thinking that what we'll do is actually like a tiled maybe floor in here, and then we'll do like a carpet on top of it. Maybe like a large rug or something along those. But there's some really nice, I can actually just go to the interior map packs. Here we have a whole bunch of nice tiled floors. We'll do something maybe along these lines. Painting tool. And go back down to our floor layer. You can see that we can kind of just build this up. And this is going to be underneath all of the different kind of elements in here. This one, maybe we'll change the color of this. I can hold down R, G, and B, and I can make it a little bit darker. Maybe we'll make it a little bit more blue, though. Okay, colors. I'll just bring that down out a little. So again, I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm just going to snap to the grid here. This. Why don't we actually do? Yeah, let's make this 5. Much about mining things here. Actually, 4. Have it. And now what we can do is come up, and we can do the same thing too. We can just type in rug if we want to, and we have a whole list of different rugs. Carpet. make this rather large. So yeah, that should be pretty cool. I think that we have in the modern, I believe that there is, we have like game cases, and I believe that there's like a poker table. Modern one. Maybe it's a, yeah, we have a game table. What we'll do is let's bring down that color a little bit. So I'm going to lower down the green, mute that out a little. What I'm doing is holding down G on my keyboard and using my mouse wheel. And maybe what we'll do is we'll put this down in this corner. I'm going to put this layer. We'll bring it out a little bit. We'll put like chairs around it. And we can grab something like this. We can do, we have, yeah, we got poker chip. And playing cards. And maybe what we'll do is we'll build a little bar over on this side. But we can go all the way back up here. We can go and type in counter. We have a whole bunch of different, these ones, a little bit too, but we can actually use, let's go into the, maybe something like this. And what I'll do is I'll actually make an arrow, and we'll build this out from, not that short. And we can put all kinds of bottles, glasses, do like a little shelf behind here. We can actually begin to decorate this up a lot here. And we've gotta have like all kinds of vases, right? Faceless. Nice tray here. Here we can put all glasses and things on it. Shelf. Grab one. Own one, do we? Yeah, maybe something. What I'm actually going to do is do it like this, and I'm going to do one that's kind of out a little bit, and then I'm going to decorate it. Unlike, then we'll put a whole bunch of different stuff on it, and then we'll do another layer above it, more stuff on that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to drop it down here again. So anything that you use, or you know that you're going to use several other times, you can just kind of put it down into your bar down here, and you can grab it. What I could do is grab this, drag and drop it in. So it's great for when we're going to need to use something again, and I don't have to keep looking and searching. Now we have all kinds of different types of shapes and sizes of bottles from many different of the interior, but we have some that are all ready to go, like these kind of little groupings and whatnot as well. This is going to make things a little bit easier for us. Grab this one here. These here. What I can do is actually change the color of these. Now what I can do is I can just grab and drag and drop this right here. Got it. Now what I'll do is here I'm just going to put another layer, and I'm actually going to offset this a little bit. That. Now we can type in glass, and we're going to get a whole bunch of new elements here. We can just grab a few. Place them around something like this. Let's do like a owl rack. We can do it to our lower one. There. You can see how easy it is to kind of just find all of these elements, searching through everything and interacting with it. That it's quite intuitive. Find some nice chairs that we can kind of put around our poker table here. Maybe we'll just. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color a little bit, just to kind of match some of these other elements. What I'm going to do is get a little bit bluer, match with the rest of the here. That's a little bit tight in through here, but grab. Oh, let's do actually grab like a plant pot, or we can even do like a regular like potted plant corner. And I think what I would like to do is higher, kind of like out a little. I want it to spill into the other room. Yeah, we're playing poker now. And let's add in some other kind of elements. Corner. And let's grab a mirror. All right, so now what we can do is we'll grab this little guy down here. I use this one a lot, so I can all the way time. And we can go back into our shadow lower. And again, what I'm going to do is I'll hold down R, G, and B and use my mouse wheel to bring that all the way down. And if you remember, we've changed this. We can use much darker elements. I'm going to drop down my opacity here a little bit, and then with my stamp tool selected, yeah, I'm going to start to actually going to increase the opacity. Now, at any time, if I do something that I think is too much, if this shadow I feel is too much, I can just go into my eraser. I can also change this more oblong. Kind of do natural kind of shadow edges of. And I can put this back to round in here and do a little shadow coming out from a base. Now I can go into this shadow here and drop down my opacity. I can add in a little bit of extra shadow on the inside of this vase and on the edge, outer edge here. And here I can actually come in and start to add in. I'm just clicking along a little bit. Add in a little variety around. We can go into our adjust colors effects layer. Again, what I can do is I can go to reveal layer, and I can just room, and then I can hold down shift. That's going to remove, add in, match with. By putting all of these elements together, we can really start to take control over the. Now, because we've put all of our walls on the same layer here, we duplicate our paint layer as walls. This is going to do all of it for us all at once, which is going to be super useful. We don't have to come in and start to worry about all of that stuff. We kind of takes the work out of it and allows us to have a lot more fun. So here we've already created 2 rooms easily. And so, for example, if you wanted to, we'll add in the same kind of elements. We still have our, and put in another door jamb. Maybe we'll do a different type of door here. But you can always come back into these layers and add in any sort of element that you wish. You can change things and interact with them really differently. And you can see we have very few layers here going on. Once you set up your layer hierarchy, you can kind of jump back and forth between them rather easily. And we can even do further things as well, depending on what we want to do and how we want to interact with the system. There's so much different ways that you can kind of add elements. And maybe what we'll do is add in a couple of wall lanterns. Switch back over to the. And I think we'll do it just below on the decor layer. We'll add in a couple of lights. Maybe we'll do one here. Make sure we have our stamp tool selected. We will do one. And we can do a switch. Depending on what type we want to use here. Let's do a switch over here. The door. We get a question. Oh, you're so welcome, Dr. DDT. Would you please show how to make a gap in a wall's line of sight? Oh yeah, sure, that's no problem at all. Yeah, there's great ways to make a hidden door. In fact, why don't we do that? So when we come back in here, let's answer both of these questions in the same situation. We'll make a hidden door that's here, and what I'll do is I'll generate all the line of sight, and then we'll remove that section to add in our hidden door. So let's jump over to our wall. So I'm going to create all of my line of sight. You can see that this does it all automatically for me, all lined up. So all of our line of sight is done, but now we have this section over here. We want to create a fake hidden door, right? So we have different types of actual occluders up here, and they all interact with the system completely differently. We have the terrain, we have walls, doors, we have toggleable wall, which is a hidden door, secret door. We have windows, illusory walls, then we have pits, and then we also have a shadow cast. So the way that these interact is based off of, do they block movement? Do they block line of sight? Can you see through the object? So like terrain, for example, you can see through, but not, you can see within, you can't see on the other side of. And so all of these can be used in many different types of scenarios to accommodate whatever your needs might be. It's a very robust and very customizable system. And many of these occluder types also have elements that you can kind of turn on and off. So if we get over here, you can see that this is toggleable. Whether the window, you can toggle it on and off or not. So with our pit, you can make it toggleable as well as blocks movement. You can change all of these. So a lot of this stuff is lots of different types of interaction. So the best way that we can kind of do this is what we'll do is we'll switch over to our toggleable wall, and I'm going to actually grab a rectangle, and I'm going to just draw out where I want this. So let's say maybe we just want it to be these two squares right here in the middle. And so, whoop, I'm going to hit Control Z and redo that. I'm going to drag this out. It's a little bit hard to see here. But here we have already created our toggleable wall. I'm going to actually change this so it's flush, but we'll do that in a second here. So now what I got to do is I got to get rid of this line in the middle. All I have to do is switch over to, I'll just do a regular wall for this. And I'm just going to draw this across, something like this. Now I go into my selection mode. I'm going to double click this, and that's going to select all of these, and I'm going to delete it, but it's going to keep these, right? And I want that. So once I've selected these, I can actually remove the selected, delete the selected points. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring it back all the way to these points here. The difference between remove, and let me just do this again over here. If I draw a line through here, you see it's going to create a new occluder point. I'm going to double click this and delete this line. So with this, if I remove it, it's just going to get rid of that point. But if I delete it, it's going to get rid of the line that's attached to it as well. So as long as there's another occluder point that is beyond it, when I delete that line, it'll cut it back to right there. Now what I can do is I can just grab this and I can snap it right to this. So now we have this wall element. And so if once we go in and we check out the line of sight and all of that, you can see that this will not be able to be seen by the players. And we can actually, as a GM, I can open this. And we can do like we'll do a secret corridor that kind of comes off of here. Maybe goes down, we'll do steps down. Maybe it goes down into like some sort of secret underground area beneath the building here. But yeah, that's basically it. We can do the same. We can add in some windows over here if we so wish. All of that. But let's jump in and do like some mood lighting. Actually, I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to grab a glass of water. I'm getting a little bit scratchy throated. And this is a good time to take just a couple of minutes break as we come back and start to add in more elements here. So everyone just hang out for a moment. and I'll be right back. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, just give me one moment. I'm just going to grab a glass of water and I will be right back. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. But thanks everyone for waiting while I rejuvenated my vocal cords. So let's do that. Let's build a little out area over here. We'll do like a little landing, and then I think what we'll do is we'll do our stairs leading down into the darkness over here. So we'll do it exactly the same kind of way. I'm going to go to my floor, and I'm going to look for, well, we can look for, let's look for here, have readily available. Maybe we should do them stone. What do you think? Stone steps going down. Maybe we'll do like rickety wooden ones. What do you guys think? I mean, we could actually use something like this if we're going to do that, like going around the corner there, but we can do many different ways that we can kind of approach this. Let's do wooden stairs, like the rickety kind of wood ones. I think we're, and what I'm actually going to do here, out like, I'm going to overlap this a little bit, right? We're going to kind of make this feel as though it's going down into the darkness, and we're going to have a little platform up here. I'm going to hold down Control to kind of snap this in here. Oh, we'll make sure we have our stamp tool selected. That. Rotate it. Well, we should do another, we'll do like a couple of different platforms. And that's the kind of advantage of doing this painting system. Now we can type in floor, right? And we can just grab a nice kind of wooden square of flooring, paint that right over the top here. Actually, this. Maybe, maybe. Maybe something like that. Actually use this. And I can change the color of this. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn this back on 2 by 2. But I can kind of just create these. As you can see, I can just kind of place this right in the midst here. And it will create our little platform for us. So what I'll do is I'll grab my color picker here. And I'm just going to kind of match it up with the, grab one of the lighter ones. And I can actually come in here and I can do further adjustments. I wanted to make it a little bit lighter. I could, but I can also grab this and have whatever kind of stands out a little. Now we have our little steps that are going down, and we're going to kind of seal this off. I'm actually going to paint a new railing over the top that kind of goes around this way, and we're going to do like walls and what. So maybe we don't have to worry about it. Let's just do our walls, and then what we'll do is we'll end it down here. And what we can do is create, we'll do like heavy shadow kind of coming up from there. Really seems like it's going down into the darkness. Now what we could actually do, depending, what type of wall do you think we should do going down there? Stone or wooden kind of wall? Maybe we'll do like this kind of a grimy kind of wall from abandoned place. I think that that looks. I'm holding down Control so I can actually like map to the grid here, and you can see that I kind of missed that, so I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm going to pull this out. This. That's a little bit wonky as well. So let's. I'm actually gonna line this up. And I'm just gonna pull this over and perfect. Now from here, what I can do is go back down into this shadow lower, and I can grab my little shadow brush, which again, I'll do RGB, and I'm going to bring this right down to black. I have the I'm going to just bring that out of all here. And I'm actually going to make this a little smaller, but I'm going to do a little bit on to emphasize this a little bit more. Oh yeah, don't break the fourth wall. And now if we switch back over to our line of sight, this, what I can actually do is I'm going to tie right into this and our own line of sight here. Tie into this. I'm going to hold down Shift, and that's going to make sure that I snap to particular angles. I can do Shift over, I think this. It's actually, let's perfect. Now we have all kinds of really cool elements that are going on here. Let's do our doors too at it. And then we'll set up all of our lighting in this little area and test it out. And we'll really try to work on the mood, and we'll see about. I'm going to create a door. I'm actually going to here, here, and then I'll just. We haven't put that. Now we can switch over to our lighting system. Let's turn our lighting system on. We can actually do it from the player's perspective. Well, we'll put a couple of lights in. We'll do candles. And we'll make some adjustments. And we want to do Maybe that's a little bit, but we can adjust. What we can do now is we can see it from the player's perspective, and this will give us a little bit more. And you can see how, because all of this is the door shut, open it, lighting system, kind of interact, right? Flood light that kind of. And so let's go back into our lighting system. We can select all of these at once. Now we can bring this down right at now. See, that's a little bit not quite enough. We want to illuminate the room, but not be so. Let's actually lower down. Maybe we'll do like 1, and let's increase our fall off here, and we can increase that. That really has a nice kind of. Then we can come in here, and we can also do some colors here a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more. Our fireplace, assuming that we have a fire going. We can set up some shadow occluders along here as well to kind of accurate. Right now, let's just this. Get the distance about right, which that's probably just about right. But again, I'm going to change that fall off so it's a little bit more of a gradient. And we'll increase our dim. Just going to add in a little bit more of that. So because these are all the same, we can select all of these at once, and we can do the same kind of thing. I'm actually going to make the bright of this even smaller. Change that. And then what we can do is increase the dim here a little bit. Maybe we'll make that 3. And because they're all flickering at the same time, it's a very uniform thing. So what we can do is we can adjust the flicker time of these individually. That's going to change how much they flicker. So it's a more random event. Maybe we'll make that one. Let's do this one at 100. Bring that one down to 3. Even 7. And now we're going to get a much more random kind of interaction with it. Now there's a little extra kind of shadowy stuff that's kind of going on here, right? So we can do that. We can interact with that a whole bunch of different ways. We can either create more light sources to do our kind of ambient randomness. We want it to be really dark in certain areas. We certainly can. But I like to have a little bit more visual kind of representation of the entire area. So what we can do is we can go into our ambient light here. And what this is going to do is exactly that. It's going to create that ambient light everywhere. And we can have control over this ambient light through not only the direction and whatnot, which is less important to us right now, right? Because we don't really care about creating shadows with it. But what we can do, which we can turn shadows on and off here. But what we do want to do is have a little bit more control over our light source. So as you can see, if we make this brighter, it's going to completely illuminate everything. All we have to do is kind of come in here and what do we want our darkness to be like? And we can kind of control that really well with our alpha here. We also want it to be kind of blue, I think, in our shadowed areas. Make that a little bit darker. You can see we can really start to kind of control the way that this system interacts. You can see we have a little bit of that very cool ambient kind of makes these shadows a little bit more typical of an indoor environment that's supposedly well lit, right? You still get some of these like shadowy areas. You can still see the flickering of some of these candles and whatnot because it's all an additive kind of system. I mean, you can kind of adjust all of this stuff, find whatever. There's shadow lighter there. And this is the color of the light, and this is the color of the shadow, right? We can do this a couple of different ways. So we can come in here and do the exact same kind of thing here. We can increase that ambient light. If we were to make this blue like this, bring it down. Have this like very cool kind of ambient. And here the direction. And you can test to see how this acts. See, very cool. You can do lots of cool stuff with the lighting system and create your mood and whatnot. So let's grab our combat tracker. Not sure why Bob has back in here. Animal. We can use our Goblin Buddy too. Test all of this out. We come in here and we turn on our line of sight and we grab our little buddy and we can drop him in here. Now let's go into the play mode over here. Everything's all turned on. You can see that as I move around my character, can't see anything in the other room. And we can open up this door. Light from here fills in. And I, as the GM, am able to interact with this toggleable wall, the secret door, but players would not. There'd be no way, and you can see that it lines up perfectly. There would be actually no way that a player could notice this without me opening it up for them. And once I open it up, free to explore. Now you could even go a step further. We could have separated this actual bookshelf out. We can actually do that if you guys want. I can erase this from that particular layer, and we can make it its own layer, which we can then move. We could move it out of the way even, so that it's more cinematic of an effect. But yeah, very cool. Why don't we actually do that while I'm thinking about it? I'll show you guys how you kind of interact with this system here. We can go right over to the bookshelf over here. It's this one. Maybe it's that one. Doesn't really matter. What I'll do is I'll go into the decor, this is where all of this stuff is kind of located. Not kind of, but actually located. Go into my eraser here, and I can just erase that right out of there. And as you can see, that is completely removed. And this is another one of the great reasons why to keep these layers in kind of an organized fashion, to kind of interact with it. What I'll do is I'll actually grab this and drag and drop it out. I'm going to drop this right into the same area here. You can see that it looks exactly the same. But now it's its own interactive piece, right? And here we have these widgets. And this is how we can kind of interact with the system here. This point right here is the rotator point, right? As you can see, what I can do is if I hold down Control, I can rotate this. And it's going to rotate around that point. So what I can do is, let's say I can move it to this location. And what that'll do is once I start to rotate it, it'll rotate at that point. So I can actually make this kind of swing out. You can see that that's a little a little bit too far. We might want to make it a little bit more narrow to make this believable. But yeah, you can interact with this system completely. Oh, that's awesome, Svenster. We might want to make this a little bit more narrow, so we can either do it up here in the size of the object. Maybe we make it like 4. I think that's what it was before. And then you can use this pivot. You can put this wherever you wish, whatever you feel like works. Maybe it slides out to something like this. And now you can see that if we switch back over and we grab one of our guys, maybe Bob, turn all of this back on, in here, up, and we could slide this out, and really cool active area. And remember, you have to interact with this system in the Layers tab. Then I can grab this and wherever. I grab this little widget, little point, I can make it interact, a really kind of cool interactive environmental piece. Lots of great and creative things that you can do. Do you guys have any questions, or is there anything that I've done so far that needs further explanation? You know, every time that we make these maps, I'm always just so thrilled with. It's just such a fun experience. Like and the maps always look so good, don't they? The system just, Carl's just done an amazing job. A fun map building. Also, all of the maps that we build here on the stream do eventually get put up on the Forge. So as long as you have either the art subscription or you own the art packs that are associated with the maps, then you'll get to download them and use them for free. I think I've done 30 or so maps up there so far, and I have about 30 or so more ready to go up there as well. I should probably get doing this week maybe. You know what we should do? We should do like a fire, don't you think? I'm looking at this. We can just, I'll just do maybe we'll do. Yeah. Perfect. Well, you know what we should do? We should probably add in a. So do you guys have any other questions, or is there anything else? I think I might end the stream a little bit early today. Um, oh, is it? Is it cutting out? I'm sorry. Let me see if I can fix that. Well, I think that I'm gonna call it a little bit early today. If you guys don't have any other questions, um, still kind of getting back into the swing of things. Oh, it could be maybe it's the noise gate. I'll have to check the sensitivity of it, make sure that it doesn't not set to too high of a parameter. Great, guys. Well, thank you so much. As I get a little bit more and more back into this, we'll get back to our regular streaming. So hopefully this next time we'll go for the full 3 hours that I like to do. So 3 p.m. Eastern time. Every Saturday. I try to be here every Saturday. Yeah, it's so good to be back. Thank you so much, Jiminy. Yep, I'm feeling so much better. So we'll be getting right on top of all of this stuff. And then this next time, what we can either do is continue this one. We could build this out and maybe do an entire floor. We could do all of the different things, and then we can just continue on. If you guys have any suggestions or something that you'd like to see built in the stream, feel free to throw them my way. Be happy to try to accommodate. Great, guys. Well, thank you, and we will see you next time.